It's time for Baby and Toddler Instructions with host Blythe Lipman. Blythe is a nationally renowned infant and toddler expert who has over 30 years' experience helping moms and dads regain their sanity, teaching them how to survive, and giving them the confidence they need to be the best parents ever. From sleeping to crying to potty training to choosing a preschool and so much more. If you're a parent, Baby and Toddler Instructions is the show you've been looking for. Now here's your host, Blythe Lipman.
Well, howdy, good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time zone you might be in. Thanks so much for tuning in to Baby and Toddler Instructions today. I'm your host, Blythe Lipman. Today's show is going to be great. My guest is Dr. Linda Hawes-Clever. She's the author of The Fatigue Prescription, and she'll be with us in just a bit to talk about letting go of bad habits, exhausting people, and so much more. You know, we all have these habits we'd love to change, too much sugar, whatever. Anyway, Dr. Al sure knows her stuff, and I can't wait to talk to her. But first, the weather. Here in Arizona, it is hot, humid, and monsoon. And if you listened to my show last week, I talked all about our dust storms called the haboobs. Well, we didn't have many of those this week, but, you know, we get this crazy wind at the end of the day and rain for 3 seconds. Honest to goodness, I think it rained for 4 minutes yesterday. I was so excited we were getting rain because we need it so much. And humid here is not like other parts of the country. It's still pretty dry. I'm not complaining. You know what? Everybody around other places, you've had terrible weather. So wishing you all great weather this week and lots of fun family vacations. If you're at the ocean, take a dip for me. And speaking of vacations, Baby Jake helps me run my website, mybestparentingadvice.com. And he posted some great tips in his blog this week to help make your traveling easier if you have a baby. So I'm going to share a few of Baby Jake's tips. He says he was thinking that he should share these 10 things that he told Mommy and Daddy because he knew he was going to go on a trip to see Grandma and Grandpa. You know, check out Jake's post because he tells you what it's like to be a baby and the things that parents should know. So here's a few tips about traveling on a plane. Baby Jake says, try and book a flight during my sleep time. Taking a red eye might even be worth it, so I'll sleep during the trip and won't be cranky. Also, even though it's not required, it's better to put me in a car seat because I'm under 40 pounds. You know, it gets a little bumpy sometimes. Also, ask if you can get some bulkhead seats. There's a lot more room, and those bathrooms are so darn small. If you have to change my diaper, you know, it's not always so easy. Anyway, let's see what else Baby Jake says. He says to buy a car seat cover, which you can get on Amazon. And you can pack all kinds of stuff on the car seat, put the cover over it. A stroller cover. I'm calling it a car seat cover. A stroller cover, you can wheel them up, put the cover on, and pack all kinds of things in there too. And you know what? You can check it at the gate. Also, one more thing. If I have something called a little bubby dog that I like to touch, Baby Jake. You know, babies are very tactile. They like to touch things, rub things. And Baby Jake says, don't forget my bubby dog. So if you have a baby that likes a certain kind of soft toy, whatever it is, buy two, bring them both. Sometimes things get lost when you're traveling. So those were Baby Jake's tips. And you know what? For more great tips, you can also read the chapter in my book, Help, My Toddler Came Without Instructions. I have a whole chapter called, The Places We'll Go. You can buy it at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Audible.com. If you don't have time to read, you can listen to it. And I can tell you, I guarantee, if you read my tips about the places we'll go, your stress will go out the window when you're traveling with your baby. So anyway, thanks, Baby Jake, for your tips today. We did have some recalls, just a couple of them. The GSK recalls Panadol. This is a acetaminophen product that is sold in Puerto Rico. So if you're living in Puerto Rico or you're going there on a trip, it is called Panadol. It says the packaging is not child resistant. So if you have that and you have children, throw it away. I have the numbers already listed on my website, mybestparentingadvice.com and babyinstructions.com. Also, Bollinger recalled their fitness resistance bands. with the door attachment. It says a black plastic ball attached to the resistance band's door can unexpectedly release and strike the user, ouch, posing an injury to consumers. You know, many of you are trying to get back into shape after having your babies. So if you have that resistance band by Bollinger, take it back. Again, go to my websites. I have everything listed already with the numbers. What else do we have today? There was an interesting little program and an article yesterday about talking to babies. Baby talk actually helps baby speech development. You know, a couple months ago they said when you talk to the baby, don't use baby talk. They keep changing things all the time. But anyway, it was interesting. It says hearing the sound of a human voice may get a baby's brain working. And new research suggests helping them practice speech long before they can actually say their first word. It says a new study shows that babies may benefit from baby talk. You know, I have to say, I talk about studies. I try to bring them up to you because it's interesting. And again, you know, you have to take them with a grain of salt. Every baby's different. Every family is different. But this particular article yesterday says using a non-invasive brain scanner, the researcher monitored the brains of nearly 60 babies as young as 7 months old. And they listened to a series of syllables like da and ta. And the parts of the brain that coordinate the speech lit up. So, you know, it's interesting, but I'm just wondering if you just talk to them anyway, if those parts of the brains will light up. But, you know, especially women, and I say this all the time, it's pretty funny. When we talk to a baby, we go, oh, isn't the baby cute? Oh, look at the baby. It's so cute. And when men talk to babies, they keep their voices down. So just talk to your baby and have a good time. You know what? Baby talk, no baby talk. They grow up so fast. So wanted to share that. Also, we were talking about keeping our children safe, and that is number one. Unfortunately, there have already been 17 heat stroke deaths of children left in hot cars in 2014. And it's so terribly sad. You know, no parent ever intentionally leaves his or her child in the hot car. So here's a awesome solution that can prevent this horrible tragedy from happening. And it's so easy. After you strap your child in his or her car seat, take off your left shoe and put it in the back seat with him or her. You know, they have detection devices, but they don't really work. But but this one is, to me, is so genius because you may not always have to remember your laptop, your purse, your cell phone, but you'll always need your shoe. So anytime you put your baby in the seat, take off that left shoe and put it back there with him, and you will never forget your baby because it's so sad. Let's see, do we have anything else today? I think we are caught up with everything as far as current events go. So let me tell you a little bit about my guest. Her name is Dr. Linda Hawes-Clever, and she is the author of the Fatigue Prescription. She's a specialist in internal medicine and occupational medicine, received undergraduate and medical degrees from Stanford and further training at Stanford and UCSF. She's a member of the Institute of Medicine of National Academy of Sciences, clinical professor of medicine, founding chair of the Department of Occupational Health at California Pacific Medical Center. Her book, again, is The Fatigue Prescription, 4 Steps to Renewing Your Energy, Health, and Life. And she is also the founder and president of Renew, which she'll tell you about. It's just great. And she's a dedicated walker, enjoys good company, good conversation. And you know what? Maybe this is what drew me to Dr. Linda, besides everything else wonderful. She loves good cookies, and so do I. And we talk about this all the time when she's on the show. Linda, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here today.
Pleasure to be here, and I just got back from a walk, but I only have cookies after dinner.
Oh.
I don't have them with lunch. If I had cookies during lunch, I would eat cookies only. So I do have my rules that kind of work for me, but I'm just saying if I'm offered a cookie, if it's the wrong time of day, I'll save it. But then I'll have it.
Well, you're good. You know, I have to dish because I have every Wednesday morning before the show, I give myself a treat. I bring my coffee to my office and 2 little cookies that I can dunk in my coffee before I start talking. It's my treat before the show.
The thing is, when you really love cookies, you have to have some kind of rules, or else, it would be too bad. But so yours works too. I definitely approve.
Well, as long as I don't keep going all day. So what's your favorite cookie?
Yes. Well, I would say chocolate chip. I also have a terrific recipe from our daughter. And part of it, this is the hard part, requires leaving it in the dough in the refrigerator overnight. And it does, I think it's kind of like soups and things like that. There are some things that are better after they've really had time to blend. But since I have also been known, you wouldn't be surprised, I have been known to have a bite or two of cookie dough. I have to be very stringent with myself when I do that.
You know, I would probably be sitting there eating the dough too. Boy, I'm going to send you an email for that recipe.
So, all right, then. I'll send it. You'll love it.
I'd love to make it, and I'll share it with my listeners too. So, you know, I talked about all the things that you've done, you continue to do. Do I need to add anything to that bio before we have a commercial?
Well, I would say certainly one of the best parts of our lives are our daughter and her family, which include 4.5-year-old twins, boy and girl. So I think that gives me particularly a lot of credibility because we spend so much delightful time with them.
There's nothing better than family. Nothing better.
Well, and that's something we can talk about today, and how you let go and keep in touch at the same time.
You know, can we do that? I can't wait to talk to you about that, because sometimes that is a problem. No, I don't have any grandchildren yet, but I can only imagine, you know, in my head when I think about it, I think, wow, I would want to be there all the time, and I would want to play with, you know, grandson, granddaughter, whatever. Hopefully I will luckily have someday. But you know what? You have to set your boundaries, and also I'm sure your kids don't want you there all the time either. But we're going to break for commercial in just a few minutes, and when we come back, we're going to talk all about these habits and how we change them, let them go. You know, my video, take a look at the front page of TogiNet.com. You'll see the video about Let It Go. And my son was in the Full Monty, and the song was Let It Go, and that's what I put in there. Of course, it didn't have the same meaning to our show as the Full Monty, but we do have to let things go. And by the way, don't forget to listen to all our other great shows on TogiNet. We have some terrific hosts and, you know, every topic you could ever think of. So take a look at TogiNet.com, and you can always listen to the shows while you're at the gym. And, of course, my podcasts come up right after. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to last week or last year, they're all there. So we will be right back.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these. This is TogiNet, Cutting Edge Radio.
Have you heard? The pages of American Patchwork and Quilting magazine come to life on our new weekly online radio show, American Patchwork and Quilting. Join Pat Sloan, our blogging and quilt designer host, as she talks about the latest trends, ideas, and inspirations. Her guests include quilt pattern designers, authors, quilt shop owners, and our editors, all quilters, just like you. Call in with your questions. Get quilting tips from industry experts. Learn about free patterns. Hear behind-the-scenes stories from our magazines, American Patchwork and Quilting, Quilt Sampler, and Quilts and More. Get the scoop on free stuff and find out more about the best independent quilt shops in North America. To listen to a live show, tune in Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Just log on to allpeoplequilt.com/radio. To hear past shows, go to iTunes and search for American Patchwork and Quilting Radio. We hope you'll join us because we know that quilting changes everything.
This is Buzz Local Radio. We had these 3 topics here, and we just added a 4th because we started talking about hot dogs.
Yes.
Yep, in a band. He's in a band. We both had guitars, so I went over to his house Christmas Day day.
We had to start a band.
And I think we wrote 4 or 5 songs that afternoon.
And Cannibalistic Fish was one of them.
Cannibalistic Fish.
I couldn't do the dreads. My mom would not let me wear my pants backwards to school either. That was wiggity, 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 whack.
Buzz Local Radio. Available for free download on TogiNet.com. That's TogiNet.com.
Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet.
The hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions. I am here with my wonderful and favorite guest, Dr. Linda Clever. She's written a terrific book called The Fatigue Prescription. And if you have any questions or comments, we're talking all about letting go today. You can call us at 877-864-4869. We love callers. Or you can go to the chat line at toginet.com. Go to chat, sign in, and type your question. But call us. Anyway, Dr. Linda, letting go. I mean, we all have these things that we want to change, especially new moms. I'll tell you what came to mind when I was thinking about what we're going to talk about today. You're so tired. You're up at all hours. You don't get enough sleep. You don't have time to exercise, especially those couple of months when you're just trying to get used to being a new mom or a new dad or whatever you are. And you just want sugar. I mean, I can remember I wanted cookies, I wanted candy, I wanted carbs, I wanted mashed potatoes or pasta, and then you get into this habit because you don't take a nap when the baby naps. Instead, you eat something, and we feel better. So help! What do we do?
Well, I think it isn't easy. I think that we are pretty hardwired for comfort food, and you named a lot of them, and people have different amounts of comfort or different kinds and amounts of comfort food. And I think it dates back to our childhood. I can remember when I had a sore throat, I always, got a popsicle, or there was in the days of Jell-O, and my mother would make Jell-O and then cool it, but not have it harden yet. And so I would get to kind of swallow that wonderful kind of it was refreshing, and it had some sugar in it, which I probably needed because I was sick and I wasn't eating well. So your memories, as well as whatever it takes to survive as a human being, are pretty much in there. The thing is in fact not to let it become a habit, and there are some ways of not letting that happen. And I don't mean any of this is easy. If this were easy, we wouldn't be having this conversation. One thing is not to have it in the house. If pasta is your thing, or if ice cream is your thing, or if cookies, as we discussed, are your thing, you just don't have them. And then if there needs to be a substitute, and I'm not suggesting that celery is as good as a piece of chocolate. I'm not. However, sometimes we just get the pleasure out of moving our mouth around and just taking a break. And so there are things that are on the healthier side, and it could be an apple. But one thing you can do, something with perhaps a little sweet in it, at the same time that you might possibly getting some roughage or a vitamin or two, have it ready. Have either slice it up or get it already sliced up, and put a few drops of lemon juice in there and a baggie, and it'll hold for a long time in the refrigerator. If you've got something that's good for you that's handy, you might just grab it instead of what you would prefer. The consequences of the mashed potatoes and cookies and so forth and ice cream are really hard to put up with. And so having something else handy or not having your favorite thing in the house are ways to perhaps not get into that spiral in the first place.
I agree, because 9 times out of 10, you are not going to get in the car and go get it. Because you're going to say, I don't want it, and I'm tired. But I have to say, I found something really good, and you'll have to tell me if you agree with this. They make these squirt things of yogurt, and yogurt for kids. It's called Go-Gurt, but some of the companies that make Greek yogurt that is better and doesn't have all the sugar or all the fake sugar in it. And I'm not going to name companies, but there's 2 of them out there that make these squirt yogurts, and they're only 60 calories, and you can put them in the freezer. And if you do that and take one out and put it in a little dish, and it's all a mind game. We can pretend it's chocolate ice cream. They have chocolate. They have, fruit flavors. If you're an ice cream freak, I think, that can satisfy you.
I agree. The only thing that I would say about it, and everything has just a little bit of a downside. Just because it advertises low fat may or may not be. You have to really, sometimes the low fat things have higher carbs and so forth and so on. So as with everything, just as you were suggesting about reading the label, whether it's for recalls or whatever, that's what you do. You just don't go with the big letters. You have to look at the fine print. And it's satisfying to do that, actually. It's really satisfying to have the sense that you are taking care of your own life and you're not letting a very skilled marketer kind of make you into a puppet to buy whatever they want you to buy. So it's to be as careful with yourself as you are with your kids. And
Absolutely.
so I think that that's a great idea. I really do. Just read the label, and I think it's terrific.
We should all read all the labels because it's so deceiving. You're right. Those big, pretty letters, pictures make us want to eat or get it. But also, one more thing I wanted to say about this frozen yogurt. You eat one. The thing is, don't give yourself permission. You'll go, oh, it's only 60 calories. I can eat 3. One is enough. You do, again, have to set up some rules for yourself like we were talking about at the beginning of the show with cookies or whatever. So anyway, don't bring it in your house, but have it. That's the key, too, to eating healthy. Have it ready. You know what? Take a half hour the night before, at night, or if you have time before you go to work, which most of us don't. Just put things together and have a little section in your refrigerator where there's healthy things. I really like to eat hummus. Carrots and hummus are really a great little snack and not hard to take with you. And they have all these great Tupperware type things where you can take dressings for your salad or you can take, dips for your vegetables. So we have an awful lot out there to stay healthy. But
it's
anyway.
True. And I would just say, kind of keeping with the theme that let somebody else unloosen their grasp on your decision-making and on your what you buy, and be willing to kind of break some habits. Not that it's easy. It's just that taking charge of our lives is very exciting. I mean, it really makes you feel good. So, and I'm in favor of that.
You know what, I am too. And sometimes it's difficult because we're with people and they say, oh, try this or try this. Especially I see, sometimes if you go out to dinner and everything looks delicious on the menu, but you decided you're not going to eat a big bowl of pasta, but it looks so good. It's good to take charge of your own life. Even when you're so busy.
And then, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was saying, and have your friends kind of enter into the plot. We go out to dinner once a month with a particular couple. We've found that if we set up, if we want to be with people and we're with them, we say, let's get together. Well, we get out our calendars right then and make, reservations for a month later or whatever, because life catches you up and you get dragged along, and then you think, wait a minute, we haven't seen them for a while. And these are people we really want to see. At any rate, we have found that we have a pretty vivid conversations going. We can get one dessert and split it 4 ways, or sometimes we get 2 desserts and split it 2 ways, but you don't have to have a whole dessert because it's just that kind of satisfaction. And sometimes you can get, an appetizer, and that's dinner. So it's I guess part of it, part of getting through this wonderful challenge called life, is to think creatively and we don't have to be ruled by the menu even. We can say, well, could I have a half serving? Or, hey, Charlie, do you want to split this with me? So we don't have to be stuck. I guess that's part of letting go, is knowing that we don't have to be stuck.
No, and it's all habit. I mean, I love the fact they take the calendar out right away because life does catch up with us. The other thing is sometimes you can ask for a to-go box as soon as your meal comes and put a half of the meal in the to-go box because the portions are amazing at a lot of restaurants. We never had these tremendous portions. I mean, look at the muffins alone. If you get a muffin at a restaurant, it's like the size of 3 muffins in this day and age.
Well, and they're 800 calories.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a half a day's, one muffin is a half a day's calories.
And we'll eat it because it's really good. Although it's funny,
That's
I just put a post on Facebook yesterday. Take a look at Facebook, or I'm on there. because I posted a recipe on mybestparentingadvice.com for some cookies you could make with your toddler, and it makes tons of them, and that you can cut them small, and you don't have to eat the whole recipe. But I put a little post that said, once you lick the icing off the cupcake, it becomes a muffin, and that's healthy, with a little picture. So I put a picture of a little girl with icing all over her anyway, but that's not true. I mean, we really do have to watch our portions too. And, many of us were brought up in the clean plate club. You were supposed to clean your plate, and that you can't do that anymore. Some of the things,
Absolutely.
It's okay. Don't be in the clean plate club or put it in the to-go box. That's what I say.
Love it.
Anyway, just, we have all these habits, and a lot come from childhood, and a lot come from, we don't want to offend somebody. When you go to somebody's house to eat, that's something else, another habit. You get a portion. If they dole it out and you don't, it's not a buffet, you still don't have to eat it all. And you don't have to feel like you're going to insult the person. You can still enjoy every little morsel, but if it's way too much, it's okay to not eat something.
I think that that's true, and I think that this is where there is an advantage to getting older. Well, there are lots of advantages to getting older. One is that you're still alive. Another advantage of getting older is you start to see that if somebody is bossing you around, again, whether it's advertisers or maybe it's a particular friend, it can be a family member, and they insist that you eat everything, that's where you can stop and you can say, I love every bite, but I want to enjoy this. And not get too full. And if they keep insisting, you just might kind of start to trim them out of your life a little bit. Now, if it's your mom, that's harder, except that it might be time for a conversation, really, because we all treasure our freedom and our independence, and we need to make our decisions and not to be, and again, this is kind of part of letting go in a way. We don't really want to be constrained by someone else's expectations or someone else's problem or someone else's desire for us.
It's so true. You know what? It can be exhausting. And when we come back from the commercial, we're going to talk a little more about people. Those who exhaust us, or, sometimes people don't say please and thank you. You send them gifts, and what do? We have so much to talk about with letting go of these habits and people and foods. And anyway, we will be right back, so hang in there. And here comes the music.
Baby love, my baby love, I need you, oh, I need you.
We'll be right back with more help. For help, my baby came without instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these.
Baby love, my baby love, I need you, oh, I need you.
Hey kids, do you think you're creative? Do you want to be? Don't have enough time for your arts, crafts, and hobbies? Or do you just need a kick in the pants? Hi, I'm Mark Lipinski, the host of Creative Mojo with Mark Lipinski, right here on TogiNet Radio. Come on and join me every Wednesday afternoon for some creative inspiration and two of the fastest fun-filled hours of your week. Hey, need ideas? How about a little motivation and a lot of inspiration? Join the fun on Creative Mojo with me, Mark Lipinski. I'm here live every Wednesday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern, 1 Pacific, right here on TogiNet.com. Now what are you waiting for?
We often ask, is that all there is? Why is this happening to me? Why am I always broke? How am I going to survive this mess? Then join Dr. Geraldine Tegeloff for Nature Spirits Speak, 7 p.m. Tuesday evenings on TogiNet.com. Geraldine is a metaphysician, nature intuitive, and prosperity coach who shares with you how she went from totally broke to living what she would call her perfectly prosperous life. Through the combination of a wealth of metaphysical knowledge and her amazing ability as an intuitive, Geraldine brings to you the secrets of her magical journey of healing emotionally, spiritually, and financially. As with the ancient seers and master teachers, Geraldine has a unique gift of being able to connect to the simple yet profound messages brought to us by Mother Nature, and happily shares these through today's note to self on her webpage, Nature naturespiritspeak.com. If you need help with your journey, why not connect with Geraldine during her show, Nature Spirit Speak, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Well, welcome back to the show. I'm here with my wonderful guest, Dr. Linda Hawes-Clever. She is the author of The Fatigue Prescription, and we know what fatigue means. Anyway, it's a great book. I have it here in front of me. I love it. I go through it all the time, and I'll tell you what, she's got great ideas to help you change your habits and get rid of the fatigue, and at one time or another, we're all tired. So before the commercial, we were talking about people. So what about, what about friends that are just so high maintenance and they exhaust you and, you love them, but it's tough to be with them sometimes? Help!
Well, I learned about this principle actually from a friend, and one of the things that we do with Renew, which is the not-for-profit that I started, is we have what we call conversation groups, and we get together maybe every couple of months and talk about things that are important that we never talk about, and they're kind of lurking in our minds, and it's important to get these out on the table, like what are your values, what gives you meaning in life, how can you be fulfilled and not just busy, because people really want to be better than busy. And one of the things that we were talking about was the difference between being in a groove, which where things are kind of hot and everything's great, versus a rut, which is you're feeling underground and kind of stuck. And the groove can become a rut, and if you don't pay attention to how you're really feeling about things. And the person in the conversation group brought up the thing about friends who are exhausting. And she mentioned that she'd been in a group of friends, and she'd finally realized that it had fallen to her to do all of the planning, that every time they got together to go out, to do something, or to have a potluck, or to even go for a walk together, or go to the movies or whatever, she was the one who did all the correlation and getting people together. And she said to this group, she said, I'm kind of tired of that, because one of the things is when I do it, I also get all the complaints. Because if you're the arranger is the one who gets the complaints. At any rate, so she said, let's split this up. And they all kind of looked at her kind of shocked and strained, and the whole thing fell apart. And she came to see that she was just kind of being used by these people who, they had pretty good time when they were together, but it really wasn't a friendship. It was more of a getting together group without real meaning. And so I think the first question is, you may, quote, love them, or you may think you did, or maybe you did, and maybe that was 10 years ago. Maybe things have changed. So the first thing to look at is, are we in some kind of an equal relationship here? Do we lean on each other, or am I always leaned upon? Now, certainly there are times when friends are in trouble, and they are grieving, and bad things have happened, and they're struggling, and it could be financial, it could be relationship, it could be marriage, it could be a child who's sick, or, and that's when you're there no matter what, and even when they get angry at you and don't return your calls, you're just there. That's one thing. And I'm not talking about abandoning people who need you. I'm talking about really looking at your relationships and seeing what in the long run is sustaining and versus draining. And so the first thing is awareness, and that's the first step actually in renewing, is being aware of how that relationship is working.
And, I'm glad you said that, because it's true. As you get older, you do see things different. And you know what? I don't know if it's wisdom. I've had my own things that I've seen, and I went, wow, you know what? I thought we were really good friends. And the one thing it's okay, as we say, no is a complete sentence, and it's okay to say no if you don't want to do something with a friend. And if it does fall apart, well, you know what? Then you do see where you are, and people change. We all change, and maybe what was fun to do, when you had little kids, maybe isn't fun anymore because your kids are all grown up and you have different interests. And that's okay. Doesn't mean you don't have to like the person, but maybe you don't want to be with them all the time.
I think that's it. It really comes down to how do you want to spend your time. And insofar as it's really nourishing, then that's the way we'd like it to be. Draining so that you feel kind of like a husk or a piece of cinder, or the flame's gone out and you're just ashes. That's not a great place to be. It can happen in families and we were talking earlier about families, and I do think families have a bigger draw and a bigger need to be fair and to make sure that you're making smart decisions about spending time with people. It is, I guess, one of the things that I do feel strongly about, in whether it's friends or family, that it is really important to acknowledge each other's strengths, try to focus on the strengths and the blessings part. And this gets down to, we talked just briefly before about giving thanks to family and friends, for that matter, either one, for things. And if people give you things, or if they invite you out, or it's a treat to be with them or something, acknowledge that somehow and say thank you. It doesn't take very much time, and it's one of those things that also it can be very satisfying to send a note of some sort or call them up, or even a voicemail afterwards if you can't get a hold of them, or text, or I like things that are a little bit more permanent than just texting. However, I'll settle for that. But it's the whole great blooming joy of sending thanks. There is time for that. And if people don't thank you, then I'm just kind of, I find myself losing interest in certainly giving them things.
Right. You know what? I so agree because, and I think we talked about this on another show. People say they're too busy, and like you, I'm the same. I love to get a thank you note in the mail, and it takes just as much time, I think, except to go to the post office, to sit down or write a little note and stick it in the mail and say thank you. And I do believe it also in this day and age, and I want to bring this up now because we have a different generation. We have so much technology. It's easy to send an email. I still think you have to start when your children are little with the pleases and thank yous, and show them that they have to be grateful, and you still have to have manners. Sometimes, to just, I'll hear kids say, oh, they know I love them. Oh, I don't have to say thank you. Oh, it's my grandmother. Oh, it's my mother. But that's not true. You know what? It's good manners, and everybody wants to be appreciated and loved, and they want to hear it.
Well, I think that's true. I think that the pleases and thank yous and I love yous and notes, I think that all of that kind of goes into the universe and makes it a better place all over. Because I'll tell you one of the things that, well, two quick things. One, I take pictures kind of wherever we go, and, well, not wherever, but a lot of pictures. And a friend taught me how to, you can get postcard backings that you can stick on a 4x6 picture, and it becomes a postcard. And so, first of all, it's less postage, and you can just drop a postcard in the mail of, picture that you took at the 4th of July fireworks, and you say, what a spectacular evening, thanks so much. That's all it takes with a postage stamp, and you drop it off at a mailbox. You kind of get some creative juices too. So I really have a file of pictures that I've taken, and I put on a postcard backing, and boom, it's easy. The other thing is our grand twins will draw a picture. They can't write yet quite, although pretty good at some letters, that is single letters. And then our daughter will say, here's a thank you note for that, terrific puzzle or book or toy or whatever. And this is what the picture shows, and so forth. And so it's kind of everybody into the pool, and we get that, and we're walking about 3 feet off the ground for the next week. And we get it, we put it on the refrigerator, of course.
And
and then because we get so many things on the refrigerator, we take a picture of the refrigerator, and then we can take the things down.
You know what? That's great. And if you think about it, when your children are toddlers and they like markers and they like crayons and they like making collages, there's nothing better when you say, "Oh, make daddy a picture." Or, when they're in preschool, they're always making something for mommy or daddy or grandma or grandpa or whoever. And that's where it starts. And I happen to think that every house should have a box of art supplies and paper. And you really need to let your child do that and take it the next step and say, besides saying it's beautiful, say, want to give this to daddy or want to send this to grandma. It doesn't take that long. Or you can even get your child to help you with that postcard that you're talking about and stick it on. Kids love to do that stuff, but it all starts from the beginning. I believe that's the foundation. And it worries me with this, this new generation coming up. I sound so old, but seriously, with all the technology, it worries me because 2 seconds you send an email, and it's not, to me, it's very nice. I love to get the thank yous. Don't misunderstand me, but I love to go out and see something in my mailbox. So,
well, I figure if somebody went to the trouble of making dinner or even assembling a lunch or, even going down to the store and getting a pre-made salad, they did something for us. And we need to do something back. I mean, why not?
Right. So, you know what? That's another habit, but it's a good habit to get into, and it doesn't take too long. We're talking about habits today, and we're going to have another commercial in just about a minute. But I want to talk about just a bit when we come back about giving up those bad habits like late night TV, or you want a nightcap. Or, you know what, there's things that you really do think help, but they don't. And so Dr. Linda and I, she's the author of The Fatigue Prescription, we are going to talk about giving up a couple of those bad habits. It's going to be our last segment. So if you want to call us with a question, now's your time, 877-864-4869. We have one more segment to go. It goes so fast all the time, Dr. Linda. You know what, we could talk for hours. So if you have a question about bad habits or you want to know how to break them, when we come back, Dr. Linda and I are going to talk about that. And the late night one, I can't wait to talk to you about the late night one, because sometimes you can't sleep and you turn on TV and you end up, not going to sleep till 12 or 1. So when we come back, we will talk about that and so much more.
We'll be right back with more Help My Baby Came Without Instructions. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet. We'll be right back right after these. Is there more living for you to do? Yes. Start living inspired. Be here for Living Inspired with Tricia Goyer, Thursday afternoons at 4, 3 p.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Tricia will dig deep into topics that matter most to women, inspiring women to make a change in their own lives and to make a difference in the world, and maybe even deep within their own hearts. Tricia is a wife, mom, speaker, family expert, and author of 24 books. For more information on Tricia and Living Inspired, go to her website, TriciaGoyer.com. That's TriciaGoyer.com. Tricia's vision is to be the voice of hope and possibility for women of all ages. Her intention is to serve ordinary women by encouraging extraordinary things with God's help. Tricia expresses real life, real hope for real women. Is there more living for you to do? Yes. Start living inspired. Living Inspired with Tricia Goyer. Thursday afternoons at 4, 3 p.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Time and change are accelerating, making it increasingly difficult to gracefully go with the flow. Women Change the World presents conversations with featured guests about changes in their lives and how that change has created new and positive opportunities. Women Change the World with your host, Dr. Beth Golden, Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central here on TogiNet.com. We all know that change can knock you off course, and Dr. Beth's show and practices focus on revealing everything that's right with you. This information will help you make choices that align your true nature and set you along your path of least resistance. As Dr. Beth says, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. For more on Dr. Beth and her show, go to drbethgolden.com. That's drbethgolden.com. Women Change the World with your host, Dr. Beth Golden, Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central, here on TogiNet.com. Welcome back to Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet, the hour for all moms with little ones to come for great advice, encouragement, and great ideas for all new parents. Now, back to the show with Blythe Lipman.
Wow, this hour's gone by so fast. We're up to the last part of the show. And, I want to talk just briefly about some bad habits. I'm here with Dr. Linda Clever, the author of The Fatigue Prescription, and let's talk about that late night TV, or you have to have a nightcap. That's a habit that, sometimes you think helps you go to sleep, but it really is not great.
Well, first of all, there are owls and larks. There are people who go to bed at 9 and, get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and that's fine for them, and vice versa. And so all of this depends on your own particular rhythm and so forth. The fact is that most people need, most of the time, 8 hours of sleep. And that, again, with parents of newborns or with parents of sick children or people who, work double shifts, I'm not saying that everybody has a perfect life every day. It's just that truly 7.5 or 8 hours of sleep a night, not more, but not very much less, are really how people work the best and think the best and use their judgment the best and stay the healthiest. So, and at the same time, you don't always go to sleep easily too. So a couple things is that again, late night TV is okay if you don't have to get up until 9 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning. So you just have to figure out, how am I going to get those big eights? The thing about computer work or screen work of any sort can interrupt your sleeping for a variety of reasons. One is the content may be very, very exciting. And so if you're watching a mystery, or you're watching or even listening on the radio, if you're listening to the police network or something like that, or whatever content, or may be very disturbing, and it may be hard to get over that. So you have to think about content. And the second is that the screens themselves, we're doing a lot more studying, but it just looks as if some of the colors on the screen and how the screen shines out at you may get into how your brain works actually, and may turn off the melatonin, which is what you need to get some good sleep. So it's, and then sometimes the other thing is you're working late at night, and you're kind of angry and you're upset because you don't really want to be working. Now is you work 24/7 or while awake. It's just not 9 to 5. It's while awake. So you're kind of irritated and resentful, and so those feelings you have to deal with too. So the whole idea about getting to sleep really has to do with winding down. You don't go out running right before you go to sleep either. So the less excitement, the less screen light, and the less disturbing thoughts, it's a good idea to get into that kind of a mode.
And even the alcohol, it may make you drowsy if you drink some wine, but you don't get a good sleep. You wake up 3 hours later.
Oh, absolutely. And it's alcohol and also sleep medication really disturb your sleep. Most of them disturb your sleep patterns. And alcohol in particular may make you feel drowsy. And then alcohol actually is later on, before it really does permanent damage, but is a stimulant. And so it is a bad idea for something that if you think that it's going to help you sleep, it doesn't. Because, again, the drowsiness, and then it becomes a stimulant, and then you're in trouble. The other thing is about caffeine. Caffeine effects can last for 24 hours. So a lot of people I know don't have any caffeine after noon, and some people say, well, I can have it after dinner. Well, it can kick in around 10 or 11 or 12 or 1 or 2 in the morning, and that also can be disturbing.
And it's frustrating because I know I won't drink coffee in the afternoon because it will keep me up at night. But I want to touch on, too, because let's talk a few minutes about things. How do we get rid of these things? We don't want to, you haven't used them for years, but we don't want to get rid of them. Another habit. I can't give that away. Yes, you can.
Well, it's interesting. And we really are talking about letting go. And the idea of letting go is so that you can have more of a life filled with things that you want and not just getting dragged down by whether it's friendships or habits or whatever it might be. There are a couple of tests. One, if you never use it, then lose it. It's okay to get rid of it, except for, I would say, family heirlooms. And this may be lace that your grandmother made or something that came down in the family, or slides. Actually, we're going through some slides, and I found some slides of my great-grandmother. So before tossing them just in a panic, because sometimes, if you get sick or die, somebody's going to go through those things and say, get rid of that. Well, we all have, I think, a little responsibility to our kids and their kids and their kids to keep some family threads around. So one is a test. If you haven't used them, well, but if it's a family something, think twice, and there may be somebody who wants it right now before you toss it. There are other things, though, like, clothes and slippers. Actually, I looked at some slippers, and I thought, I really can't wear those anymore. And then I looked at the soles, and they were okay. Well, somebody else isn't tired of those slippers. I'm going to take them to the cleaners and get them cleaned, and then, there could be a shelter. There could be somebody. They're in great shape. I've overused them.
And you know what? And you feel really good. I mean, we have tons of resale stores here. We have tons of not tons of shelters, but we have enough shelters. And people are always asking for donations, and they send a truck to your neighborhood. It's okay to get rid of things. You don't have to feel bad. And what we always say, I know especially women, well, I may want to wear that in 2 years. Well, you know what? If you want to wear it in 2 years, it may not even look good in 2 years.
It may not look good in 2 years, and furthermore, it's probably out of style. Unless you're prepared to keep something for 2 generations, it might come back in and look kind of camp, But otherwise, it's got shoulder pads. People don't have shoulder pads anymore.
It's funny because my mother has things from 25 years ago. And I have to say, sometimes I'll look at it and say, wow, that came back into style. What do you know?
Right.
But you know what? I don't wear a size 1. So it's not going to fit my foot if I'm going to, if I'm going to use it. So it's tough. Also, I found too, to get rid of things like clothing. One year I had a friend come over and we did my closet, and she sat with me and said, if you ever wear that, I'm not going out with you. And you need to get rid of this, and you need to get rid of this. And it was really very cleansing. And I felt okay about it because then I didn't throw it away. I gave it to a shelter. So it was, exactly. I knew it was helping. But I'll tell you a really funny quick story because we don't have much time. I took some things to resale, and it's funny because I went into resale with some other things, and I was walking around, and there was a woman there, and I looked at her, and I said, that's the prettiest top, and it was mine. And she said, I just bought this, and I was so excited. She looked so pretty in this top, and it was really great. I thought, I'm so happy to see somebody enjoying something that no longer fit me or looked good or whatever it was, and it was nice. It was a nice moment.
And the idea of doing it with a friend is terrific because is very hard to do by yourself. I have a friend who comes in. We do 4 categories. One is garbage, truly. The other is a resale shop. Another is, get it cleaned and maybe, take it up a couple of inches. And another is to the shelter or Goodwill or whatever it might be. I couldn't do that by myself.
No, it's really tough. Also, you have somebody standing there if you try it on, and they'll tell you the honest truth. They'll say, oh, my God, don't ever wear that again. It's so bad.
True. Yeah, and then you could do it for them.
Exactly, and it's fun. You have a lot of laughs. It's a lot of fun to do it with a friend, too. Quickly, we have about another minute. What about beliefs you can't get rid of? Do you need to let go of your biases? Quickly, because we have about 40 seconds.
I think is what you think determines how you act. And it's a good idea to, first of all, think about what you think about yourself. And thinking highly of yourself is really important. And one person said, if you think you can or if you think you can't, you're right. And so the first belief I would check into is, what do you believe about yourself? And think about what a great person you really are, because you've been through a lot. There's a lot more to go. You can learn, you can do, you can grow, and you can let some things go that you don't need to have.
So let it go. Well, what a great message. So tell my listeners where they can get the fatigue prescription or get in touch with you at Renew.
Thanks. Well, Renew Now has a new website. Yay. So that's renewnow.org. And you can get the fatigue prescription anywhere. You can order it from your independent bookstore or from your non-independent bookstore or from Amazon. It is on Kindle, and it's also on audiobooks, so you can listen to it as you're driving around.
Well, I will put that on my website again. Thank you so much, and I can't wait for you to be on the show again. You have a great rest of your day, and enjoy those cookies tonight.
Thanks so much.
And send me your recipe.
I wrote that down. I'm going to do it.
Okay, thanks, Linda. Take care.
Thanks, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, what a great show. We got to all let it go. I'm ready and enjoy every minute. You know, life is short. Next week, my guest is Lisa Bunnage from Brat Busters Parenting Services. We're going to be talking all about tantrums, discipline, being a fun parent, and so much more. I can't wait to talk to Lisa. And it's summer, lots of new babies. You know what? Check out my books. Help My Baby Came Without Instructions, More Help, and Help My Toddler Came Without Instructions. They make great gifts. You can go to Amazon and the bookstores and on Audible again. Also, if you have any baby toddler issues and you need a little help or coaching, you can call my office to set up an appointment. The phone number at my office is 480-510-1453. And I would like to leave you with these little gems about letting go. At some point, you have to realize that some people can stay in your heart, but not in your life. Good habits are just as addictive as bad habits, but a lot more rewarding. Boy, isn't that the truth. And remember this, life is a delicate balance of holding on and letting go. So try to enjoy each day. You know, when you have those little ones and they're having a tantrum, take a breath, give them a hug. They grow up so fast. It's summer. Let go. Just enjoy. Just breathe. You know what? We have so many things in front of us to make us happy. And it's the little things. So let go of those bad habits and enjoy your life each day. Thanks so much for tuning in. I want you all to have a great rest of the week. And I will see you next time. So have a great week. Here comes the tunes. Bye-bye.